what you can't explain. It's coming back again. I can see it now, I can see it now. What you can't explain, coming back again.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and thank you for joining me for another coffee and crime time. Since the early 20th century, the film industry in America has been based primarily in and around a 30-mile zone in Los Angeles, California, known as Hollywood. And for decades, people from around the country and even from around the world have flocked to Los Angeles with dreams of making it big, of becoming famous. And even though the statistics of those who are actually successful in making acting their full-time job are pretty bleak, less than 2%, it doesn't stop the most hopeful among us from believing that they can be the exception and not the rule. Naomi Navarre was one of those hopefuls who left her home in rural Kentucky and traveled to the West Coast with aspirations to become a famous singer and actor and shock the world, as she stated in her senior spotlight of her high school yearbook. Naomi would shock the world, as she was arrested on October 9th, 2024, covered in the blood of her 68-year-old mother, Trudy. What law enforcement found inside and outside Trudy's home would certainly be classified as shocking. Maybe even one of the most shocking crime scenes we have ever talked about on this channel. And if the initial crime wasn't bizarre and bad enough, what unraveled in the days following suggests that it's going to get far more bizarre. So we're going to dive in and go over all the details that we know in a moment. But first, we have to have a word from the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN. Just like we take precautions to protect ourselves out in the world, we need to protect our online privacy. And that is where Surfshark VPN comes in. Surfshark does a lot of things to help you keep your online privacy intact and to also help you make traveling, whether it's for work or pleasure or both, a lot easier. Surfshark VPN is jam-packed with features that go way beyond the basics. Surfshark secures your data with industry-leading measures by using uncrackable encryption and the most secure VPN protocols. They also provide IP and DNS leak protection so that no one can tell where you're connecting from, because that's really no one's business but your own, and you don't want to compromise your safety by giving your location away to anybody who knows how to look for it. And if you travel a lot or even a little, Surfshark will help you in many ways, and one of those ways is by helping you overcome location-based price discrimination on plane tickets or car rentals, and they do this by connecting you to VPN servers in different countries, and you can still reach your favorite sites and services, even if you're in countries that ban them, because Surfshark does not play around with that censorship game. They bypass geo-blocking to give you access to things like Facebook, even in China. And with Surfshark, you can unlock 15 of the largest Netflix country libraries, including the US and Japan. All you have to do is connect to a server in that country. So Surfshark's not just about protection and online safety, it's, going to really increase your entertainment options. You're going to have access to things like BBC iPlayer, Hulu, and other limited streaming services wherever you are just by using servers in those countries. And right now, Surfshark is available on 3,200 plus servers in 100 countries. So you're going to find a server anywhere you go, and Surfshark is the first VPN to reach 100 countries. You can also unlock content on most platforms by installing the VPN on computers, phones, smart TVs, and so much more. On that note, another amazing thing about Surfshark is that one subscription is going to allow you to install and run Surfshark on an unlimited number of devices at the same time. And I really mean unlimited. And they have apps for all platforms, whether you're using a PC, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, Xbox, PlayStation, the list goes on. I also want to shout out Surfshark's customer service. They are on top of it. They're never going to leave you in a place where something isn't working, or if you need help with something, they're available 24/7 with live customer support, which is awesome because I am not technologically savvy and I'm, sometimes running into trouble with things. That's a pretty easy fix, and they just walk you through it. You're also going to get a 30-day money-back guarantee, which gives you plenty of time to see all the benefits of Surfshark for yourself risk-free. So what are you waiting for? If you haven't tried Surfshark VPN yet, you have no idea that it's the best VPN out there, but I know that it is. So I'm going to need you to go to surfshark.com/stephanieharlowe, and you're going to get all that Surfshark VPN has to offer, plus 4 extra months for free. Once again, that's surfshark.com/stephanieharlowe to protect your online privacy today and to open up a whole new world of entertainment. You can also just click on the link in the description box. But thank you so much to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring today's video, and let's dive in. Okay, we're back from the sponsored portion of the video, and before we dive in to the details of this case, I just want to address the elephant in the room, which is actually the room itself that I'm in. Obviously, this is not my normal recording space. I am changing things around, trying to start something new going into 2025, and we're working on the set design a little bit more, obviously, but I'm really liking it. I feel good about it. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section. So let's talk about Naomi Navarre. So Naomi Navarre doesn't actually exist. It's a stage name, or an alias, if you will. The real person behind a Naomi is 32-year-old Torilena May Fields, who in her mugshot looks nothing like the fiery-haired, intense, and glamorous Naomi Navarre depicted in picture after picture on Instagram. You wouldn't look at the put-together, confident woman that Naomi Navarre was and believe that she could do what she now stands accused of doing. On October 9th, 2024, early in the morning, 2 contractors arrived to the Mount Olivet, Kentucky home of 68-year-old Trudy Fields to do some work that she'd hired them for. They knocked on the front door, but when no one answered, they made their way around the house to try the back door. That is when they saw a grotesque scene. The back porch was reportedly soaked in blood, and there were drag marks leading from the back porch into the yard, which led to Trudy's dismembered body. It was just her torso sitting next to a folded bloody mattress. Inside the folded mattress, multiple other body parts as well as organs were discovered. And not far from this, further into the yard, another blood-soaked mattress was found along with a bloody stick. The contractors called the police and informed law enforcement that they'd been there the day before, at which point they had encountered Trudy's adult daughter, who had been acting confrontational and, quote, casting spells on them, end quote. When the Kentucky State Police arrived at the house, Torilena, who was inside, she told them that she was a witch and she refused to come out. A special response team had to be called in, and they even sent a robot inside the house to communicate with Torilena. After an 11-hour standoff with state police, and after they had to deploy tear gas inside the house, Torilena emerged from her mother's home, drenched in blood from her hands to her face to her clothing. She was then placed under arrest, obviously, and the officers went inside the house only to discover more atrocities. In the kitchen, investigators found Trudy's severed head, hands, feet, and forearms in a still warm pot on the oven. Torilena had allegedly placed these body parts in the oven and then heated them until they were charred. And it's believed that the attack, murder, and dismemberment of Trudy Fields happened during the night of October 8th or early in the morning of October 9th. On October 14th, a grand jury in Robertson County issued a 5-count indictment against Torilena Fields. In count 1, the jury alleged that Torilena had intentionally committed the murder of her mother. Quote, she caused the death of Trudy Fields by shooting her in the head with a firearm and shooting her multiple times. That at the time, she was not acting under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance for which there was a reasonable explanation or excuse, and the force that the defendant used was unlawful, end quote. Count 2 claims that Torilena, quote, intentionally treated the corpse of Trudy Fields in a way that would outrage ordinary family sensibilities by mutilating, decapitating, dismembering, and eviscerating the corpse of Trudy Fields, end quote. Count 3 alleges that Torilena tampered with physical evidence when destroying, mutilating, concealing, removing, or altering physical evidence believing that an official proceeding might be instituted. So basically, Torilena knew she might get caught and arrested, and that physical evidence could be used against her in an investigation and then a trial, so she intentionally meant to impair the evidence's validity or availability. Count 4 says that Torilena intentionally tortured and killed a domestic dog without legal justification. And Count 5 alleges that Torilena obstructed governmental operations. Quote, she intentionally obstructed, impaired, or hindered the investigation of Trudy Field's murder and the execution of a search warrant at 3510 Briarly Ridge Road, Mount Olivet, Kentucky. The performance of a governmental function by using or threatening to use violence, force, or physical interference. End quote. Bail for Torilena was set at $1.5 million, and the rest of the world was left to wonder, what the hell happened here? Why would somebody do this? Now, the family of Torilena Fields and Trudy Fields has painted the picture of Torilena basically as like a good little country girl who grew up with chickens and horses and bouncy blonde curls, who loved to play piano, who went to church, who only took the wrong path when she left Kentucky and relocated to Los Angeles, California. Now, I cannot speak to Torilena's early childhood, but it seemed she was motivated to want more than small town life, even in high school. At Bracken County High School, Torilena ran track and field and was a member of the Family Career and Community Leaders of America. In her senior class, she was voted biggest flirt, and she wrote in her senior spotlight that she wanted to become famous and shock the world, but quote, if I'm not successful, I plan to attend college and go crazy in the fitness industry, end quote, which I mean, I think is a pretty down-to-earth statement as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people want to be famous, especially when you're young, and maybe they put all their eggs in that basket, but at least it seemed like Torilena had a plan B, a backup plan if this didn't work out, so she wasn't being completely unrealistic. Torilena's senior quote did suggest ideas of grandiosity, however. She said, quote, life is what it is. There are two types of people in the world, those who are forgotten and those who are remembered. I choose to be remembered, end quote. And she certainly will be. She certainly will be remembered. So Torilena graduated from Bracken County High School in 2011. She went on to attend Morehead State University, where a friend, Brandon Shackle, described her as outgoing and friendly. He said, quote, just nothing really bothered her. She was very outgoing, energetic, though funny. I wouldn't say we were best friends forever, but, we were close enough that when I heard this news, I was just stunned. That's not the person I knew, end quote. And it seems that at some point after college, Torilena packed up, moved to LA, where she starred as a lead in a 2019 film called A Dance Story. Andoni Zorbas, who wrote, directed, and also starred in the film, had nothing but nice things to say about the actress. He said, quote, all I remember whenever I think of her, I think of happiness. I think of laughter. I think of positivity. I think of strength, because she was very tough and was every director's dream to have to work with on set because there was absolutely no complaint from her, end quote. But Andoni didn't really know who he was working with. At least, he never really even knew her real name.
I didn't even know that her name was Torilena at all. Everybody knows her as Naomi.
Andoni Zorbas is in shock. He thought he knew his co-star and friend Naomi Navarre, who starred alongside him in the 2019 film A Dance Story, which Zorbas wrote, directed, and headlined.
Whenever I think of her, I think of happiness, I think of laughter, I think of positivity.
Naomi, whose real name is Torilena May Fields, was arrested earlier this month accused of the grisly murder and dismemberment of her mother, Trudy.
I expect a lot of things to happen, in life, but this is the only thing that is the least thing that I could ever expect. I don't know what to say. I knew something was off with her after Dance Story. I knew something was going on with her because the look, the eyes, I could tell that it's not Naomi anymore. It's not the Naomi that we all knew her as. Something had to happen for her to have something in her mind to do such a thing. I mean, it's beyond comprehension. The final scene of the film, is literally her sitting in jail. I don't know what to do about that.
The last time Andoni Zorbas spoke to Torilena was in the spring of 2020 when she texted him to wish his mother a happy Mother's Day. And Zorbas said, quote, she knew my mother very well. She loves her mother. These are the things that we were talking about, that she has a good relationship with her mother because, I love my mother. And I mean, clearly she loved her mother. I don't know if it's really fair to say that right now. I mean, maybe to Andoni Zorbas, saying clearly she loved her mother because he had had conversations with Torilena about her mother, but saying it to the rest of us because all we know about Torilena's relationship with her mother Trudy is that she murdered her and dismembered her body and tried to cook some of her body parts. I wouldn't say that clearly shows that she loved her mother. And Zorbas does sort of acknowledge that because he goes on to say, quote, I mean, which is odd to say now, end quote. True. That is kind of odd to say now. Zorbas even said that one day while they were in the car together, Torilena offered him some cookies that her mother had baked and sent her, and he followed this anecdote with the statement, quote, to literally chop up your mother and put the head of your mother in an oven, I mean, you don't even see this in like forensic files. Probably throughout my whole lifetime, it'll be a splinter in my head questioning why, end quote. And according to Torilena's family, this wasn't who Torilena was at all, and they believed that a motorcycle accident she had been a part of while in California had left her with a brain injury. Torilena's cousin, Olivia Brock, said, quote, she was an actress and doing her thing out there, and I guess we were told a couple months ago that she was in a bad motorcycle accident and sustained a brain injury, and was, I guess, wandering around Cali. Didn't know her name, didn't know where she belonged. I guess people were trying to get her help down there and couldn't get it done. That's when Trudy stepped in to help, end quote. Now, reportedly, Torilena had returned home to Kentucky sometime in August of 2024 so that her mother could help take care of her. But something happened between them, or something happened between her coming home in August and the first week of October that caused Torilena to snap. We can look at a petition for more information, and this petition was filed by Torilena's sister, 32-year-old Telby Fields. And Telby was asking the court to give her an order of protection against her brother, 42-year-old Truett Fields. In this petition, Telby said that Truett had made threats against herself and their mother, Trudy, for years. She said Truett was armed and dangerous, and she called him a monster. To the judge, Telby said, quote, my mother was butchered, and my brother has threatened to do that for years. Him and my sister both. And so that's what happened, end quote. When the judge asked if Telby was suggesting that her brother was involved in the murder of their mother, she responded, absolutely, and followed this up by saying, quote, my mother was butchered by my sister under his advisement. When my body is found, Truett Fields murdered me. Please give me this order. Without it, I am next, end quote. So Telby Fields claimed that Truett had threatened to kill her in order to claim his birthright as the firstborn, which doesn't even really make a lot of sense because I believe that Telby is younger than even Torilena. And so killing Telby wouldn't make Truett the firstborn, and he was the firstborn anyways. He's the oldest, so that doesn't make any sense. But of course, Truett Fields completely denies these claims, and he has said that at the time of the murder, he was in California, where he lives. Truett told the judge that his sister, Torilena, had lived with him for a time in Los Angeles before returning to Kentucky, and he said he'd been working with his mother, Trudy, to try and get Torilena some help. Truett also claimed that his other sister, Telby, the one who's trying to get a restraining order against him, she was manipulative and was trying to manipulate their entire family, saying, quote, I think she's using fear and let fear get a hold of her and creates stories in her head that are not true, Your Honor, end quote. Other family members, however, actually supported Telby's petition, feeling that it at least would keep Truett away from them and from Trudy's funeral. Some of them testified to seeing Truett do some strange things over the years, including hanging dead animals from fence posts. I don't know if the animals were dead when he found them and that's when he hung them from the fence posts, or if there's the suggestion here that he killed the animals and then hung them from fence posts. I obviously think one is worse than the other. Like, killing them and then hanging them from the fence posts is worse than just finding, like, animals who've been hit by cars or died from natural causes or whatever, and then hanging them from the fence post. But either way, not a sign of healthy behavior, I would say. I don't know. Another brother, Titus Fields, told the judge that at one point Truett had believed a dragon tattoo on his back was turning into an actual dragon. And he said, quote, I stopped talking to him. He got too crazy and into cultish acting, end quote. Now, both Talby and Titus Fields told the judge that Truitt had made threats in the past and that their mother, Trudy, was afraid of him. Talby Fields was initially granted an emergency protective order, but after a hearing, she was denied a full protection order because the judge claimed that they had found no evidence of recent threats. And, quote, Talby and family members have had no recent contact with Truitt. There is no direct proof that Truitt had anything to do with the death of Trudy, end quote. However, there is a past incident that both Truitt and Torilena were connected to, which does stand out as odd. And I know this is confusing because everybody's name starts with a T. So Torilena Fields is the person who killed her mother, Trudy. Torilena went by the stage name Naomi Navarre. Truitt Fields is her older brother who also lived in California with her and still did live in California even after she moved back to Kentucky. Talby Fields is their sister who filed a petition, and then Titus Fields is the other brother who supported Talby in filing that petition. So this other incident that definitely stands out to us is talked about in the same petition that Talby Fields filed, and Talby mentioned what she called the suspicious death of Truitt's 2-year-old son, Tristan, who also had a T name. So the records state that in 2021, Torilena was caring for the 3 young sons of her brother Truitt after they were removed from his custody. It doesn't say why they were removed from his custody. They have not reported on that yet. I can't find it anywhere. I will do a quick check before we wrap up this video in case anything new has come out in the past few days, but as of now, I don't know why they were removed from his custody. But in August of 2021, Torilena was living in a trailer in an RV park in California with her 3 nephews, and she called the police and told them that on August 26th, she had put 2-year-old Tristan down for a nap. She said when she checked on him next, his eyes were open and his lips were purple, so she performed CPR until first responders arrived. In the police report, law enforcement details that the living space, the trailer where Torilena was living with the 3 boys, it was clean, it was decorated with the boys' artwork, there was plenty of toys and healthy food available, so there didn't seem to be any neglect or abuse happening, at least from initial impressions. And the coroner ruled the cause of death of Tristan to be hyperthermia, which means Tristan's body temperature was higher than normal. And it was August in California, so maybe it was hot, but the police report noted that the inside of the trailer was cool and comfortable, so that probably wasn't an issue. The case was closed in 2021, and it was closed exceptional, which I didn't know what that meant, but I looked it up, and apparently it means there was not sufficient evidence to determine whether the death of 2-year-old Tristan was accidental or intentional. And Truitt Fields told the Kentucky judge that his son had passed away due to SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. However, according to Talby and Titus Fields, their mother Trudy always believed that her son Truitt and her daughter Torilena had something to do with her grandson's death. Titus said, quote, I have handwritten notes somewhere where she says she knows what happened to the baby Tristan and that Torilena and Truitt need to tell the truth, end quote. Torilena's uncle also thinks something dark got a hold of his niece, saying, quote, I think somebody has lost control of their mind. Satanism or something had her brainwashed, whatever witchcraft is. I heard she was into it. But the girl in that mugshot, that's not the girl we know, end quote. So that's pretty much all I know about this case right now. I'm going to look up really quick and see if anything new has come out, any new details, any new information. I'm really surprised at this point, honestly, that more people who know the family aren't coming forward, because you do usually see this in the wake of a very high profile case like this. People who went to high school with Torilena, or people who knew the family maybe through church or maybe through just the community, would come forward and be like, yeah, the family's always been kind of sketchy. You know, they all have T names and that's confusing, something they would say. And there really wasn't a lot of that in the first weeks. And I only heard about this case because I was actually in Kentucky. I was in Lexington, Kentucky, about a month and a half ago for Scarefest, because we brought cereal to Scarefest and it won a bunch of awards. And while there, a bunch of fans that I had known through true crime who were also at Scarefest approached me, and they were talking to me and they were like, hey, have you heard about this case? It's local to us. And that's when I started looking into it. So maybe it just hasn't really hit the mainstream kind of news cycle as of yet, so people aren't coming out in droves yet. But I am really surprised, especially with Reddit. Usually you'd go to Reddit and see people who are like, oh, I know these people, or I know Torilena, I knew her in high school, I went to, acting classes with her, whatever. There's not a ton of that happening, which is odd, because This is a pretty crazy case. One of the craziest I think we've seen in a while. In fact, it reminds me of the Joel Guy case that I covered years ago, where Joel Guy killed both of his parents and put some of their body parts in a pot on the stove. He did this for money, right? We believe he did it because they were cutting him off. His parents were cutting him off. He wanted their money. He didn't want to get a job, things like that. What's Torilina's motive? That's the question here. Okay, so really the only new article that has come out since everything went down and since I wrote my script here is just saying that Torilena Fields made her first court appearance. And that's pretty much it. They don't say anything about anything. They don't say what happened to the court at the court appearance. They don't say anything more about motive. It's very odd. And like I said, there still is there's no people coming out and being like, we knew these people, this family was strange, none of that. They do say that a non-guilty plea was entered on behalf of Torilena Fields for the charges brought up against her in October. And I don't know if she's saying not guilty based on like reason of mental illness or defect, or if she's just saying not guilty in general. I'm not sure how you could do that. But Laura Fitzer with the public defender's office, who it looks like is going to be representing Torilena, says, quote, we're doing a lot of investigation and that we're really just ready to get all the information we can represent her to the best of our abilities and really just tell her story. That's the biggest thing, end quote. This Laura Fitzer person with public defender's office continues to say, quote, boots on the ground is what we're doing at this point in getting some evidence from the Commonwealth and what they want to use to prove a murder against Torilena, end quote. Once again, I don't know. It seems like it's a pretty cut and dry case. She was covered in her blood. She wouldn't come out of the house. Do they need a lot of evidence of what they're going to use to prove murder against her? It's said within the hearing that a lot of evidence will be submitted for testing and that Torilena's medical records from the time she lived in California before she came back to Kentucky may also be submitted. Hopefully there's some evidence of a brain injury from the motorcycle there. And Todd Brock, the brother of Trudy Fields, that's Uncle Todd to Torilena, he said the family's waiting for this all to be over so they can get to the bottom of what happened. He added that it was jarring to see his niece, Torilena, at the hearing on the screen that they have at the hearing. He said, quote, she didn't seem different to me. Her mind didn't seem like it was screwed up, or she was just very alert and paid attention to the judge. I don't think there's nothing wrong with her, end quote. Olivia Brock, Torilena's cousin, also shared her thoughts on Torilena Fields, saying, quote, maybe it's just my thoughts or whatever, but I feel like she's aware of what she's done or whatever. I don't know, end quote. And the judge has not set the bond for Torilena Fields yet, so that is where we are with this case. And like I said, it's a crazy one. Her own family is saying she doesn't seem to be mentally not well. She doesn't seem to be mentally not there. She seems to be very aware of what she did. She seems to be, paying attention to the judge. She's cognitively aware and conscious. They do mention, once again, her uncle Todd Brock mentioned something about witchcraft and Satanism and things like that. And we do have the workers who went to Trudy Fields' house and discovered her body, saying that the day before they had been there and that Torilena Fields was there as well, acting kind of aggressive and casting spells on them. So where are we at with this? We're not really sure. We're going to have to wait and see. What did she say her motive is? She's saying not guilty, so she's saying she didn't do this at all. Was Truett Fields involved? Are we going to find out that the death of his 2-year-old son was not an accident and something more nefarious? Stay tuned. I will be doing an update video on this case, obviously, but I wanted to bring it to you now so that we can talk about it, figure out what's going on, what do we think, what's our theories, what's our speculation, put them all in the comments section. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do that. If you liked the video, like it. If you think it's worth sharing, go ahead and share it. And until next time, stay kind, stay beautiful, and stay safe. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.
Would a levee don't break now? And the bottle's going straight down.